There was a song once where the beat was like, and I changed it to, and because I changed it, all I did was take 2 eighth notes out, and the bass player immediately went like, wow, he's kind of doing the Charlie Watts thing with a little bit of Stuart Copeland stuff on the hi-hat, and he was doing what he's supposed to do, which is follow my bass drum with his bass part, doont, boo doont, boont, doo doont, and he changed it. Actually, the tempo was faster. He changed it from like doont, do doont, and doont, do doont to boont, do 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 do, bo do bo do bo boont, do 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 do, kind of like a upbeat island type thing, because he recognized what I was doing was different, and it influenced him to come up with a different part. That's a major change. That's almost like a hook line to a song. So him changing that part made the guitar players change their part ever so slightly. Suddenly, you have a new song. It's a whole different vibe. And in pop music, that's, those are big changes. That song ended up being like in the top 20. Back when you were in the top 20, there was only a few charts. That was big time, huge. So picking the right beat to the song is the main first thing I do. Second thing is time, which is the first 2 notes I play. The first 2 notes I play determines your tempo. So if you're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's your tempo. You should think in terms of that. Like you don't sit there and spend 4 measures trying to figure out the tempo. The first 2 notes you play, you've announced the tempo. So distance between is a certain time, and that should now your time. Especially when you're overdubbing like I do to loops and tracks. Like I'm going to play this first song. It's a song I recorded for Alanis Morissette, Never Met Her. Did 8 songs on a record, never met her, she was never there. It's just the way things are going these days. It's faster and cheaper to have me come in and just overdub to finished tracks, or not even finished tracks, just demos. But be that as it may, when you're playing to loops and finished tracks, or things that have to be exactly in time, you got to nail it from the first 2 beats. So beat, time. Third thing is groove. This is my philosophy of drumming. Third thing is groove, which is your 4 limbs all playing a certain kind of vibe. The coordination between your 4 limbs, the dynamics, how much you open your hi-hat, how you hit your snare drum, whether you hit the snare drum on the backbeat, which I'll demonstrate in some songs where I might lay the snare drum back to create a certain vibe. That's groove, and everybody in this room has a unique groove and has a unique personality. We all look different, we all have different personalities, therefore we're going to sound different. Everybody could come up here and play douche, da, douche, da, douche, da, douche, da, and it would sound different. It's just quarter notes with an 8th note feel on top, right? And you can sit there and say, well, what's the big deal? Well, it's a huge deal. Because that's the beat that John Bonham used in Kashmir, with no fills. Douche da, douche ga, do do do, 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 da da da, no fills, da da da. I bet you everyone in this room would go da 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 da. We would, right? Now, there's no way anybody could come up here and say, oh, I can play like John Bonham, because if you did, everyone in the room is going to beat you up. You can't, nobody can sound like John Bonham, and that's what groove is. It's the way he hit the drums, the feel he played, placing. Like when I play, I'm going to play some Tony Iommi stuff. That's the guitar player from Black Sabbath. I made a record. And the way where I play the hi-hat, there's one song I won't play you, but it was like the guitar started kind of a busy line, you're thinking 8 measures of this, I got to come in. What do you do? It's like, it's open. Man, when I came in, it was like, and that simple beat behind his busy guitar was like AC/DC meets Led Zeppelin. It was so cool, and where I placed the snare drum and the way I placed the hi-hat against the guitars made it have a certain kind of feel. See, that's groove. And every one of us could come up and play, and you know, everybody in this room can play goo, ga, do, ga, do, ga, do, ga. But it would sound different. You know, I play very muscular, and so my sound is going to be different. And because I play that way, the coordination of the way I play makes me sound, my groove different. So anyway, I don't want to go on too much about that, but beat, time, and groove is kind of like your foundation to drumming, whether it's rock, jazz, country, even jazz. I mean, if you can't get 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, ding, ticka-ding, 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 and 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, that's your beat, time, and groove. If you can't do that, you go home. You got to be able to do that. Establish the beat, time, and groove in seconds. That's drumming. And then anything else you add to that is kind of like putting icing on a cake. It's like decorating a cake. You can't decorate a cake with icing unless you have the cake. And that's the foundation and fundamentals of drumming. If you can do that stuff, then people are going to want you to play with them. And that's partially, or a lot of why people will hire me. You know, like a lot of these artists will actually ask for me. Like, you know, well, we're going to put a band together. Who should we get? I want Kenny, because it's because I can do those 4 things a certain way that adds a personality to a record, and also an influence and affect the other players. So you don't have to be all chops to be a great drummer or really great musician, you know. So that's my philosophy. I didn't expect to be talking about that so much, but I did expect to talk about that at some point. But now that I have it, I'll start by playing this song. My clinic is about playing songs, and this song was recorded with Lance Morissette. Like I said, I did it by myself, and more recording is done with the drummers by themselves because it's cheaper. It's just cheaper. You know, you go into a room that's the rooms I record in are like $2,000-$3,000 a day, plus cartage, plus all the players, and with a band you might be able to do 4 songs a day. This is assuming you didn't rehearse and never heard the songs, but you know, 2 to 4 songs a day. But you know, I can record as many as 9 songs by myself. So I can basically record a whole album in 2 days, and it's just cheaper and faster because you don't have to wait for the other instruments. There's less things to go wrong. They can focus. But I really strongly feel that it's just, in most cases, I would way much prefer to play with other musicians because of the vibe you get by playing with other people, the interaction, the thing, like how would that guy, remember I changed the hi-hat part on that song, it was a John Mellencamp song? Those guys, if they weren't there, no, they wouldn't change their parts. It'd be just me changing my part and somehow making it fit in. But when you're with other musicians, people get ideas and stuff starts moving around the room, and it can make you sound better, it can make the song sound better. And also, it's the interaction, it's the magic. Like I just did this Rod Stewart record. You know, I didn't reinvent the wheel, I'll tell you. It was some basic stuff, you know. But the energy that I create when I play live is all about me leading, but also listening to the other people and looking over there and seeing Rod sing and being motivated by everybody in the room. And that's what makes it special. That's why I think a lot of records today sound the same. Because if you start recording the drummer by himself, the bass player by himself, the guitar player by himself, it's like Frankenstein music. There's no vibe. It all starts sounding the same. Anyway, I'm not putting down Pro Tools, believe me. You know, it's just that I prefer to play with other musicians. Anyway, this is this song was me recording by myself. All the tracks were done. So the tricky thing here is not only do you have to pick the right beat, which was pretty obvious because, well, the beat that they wrote the song with was me from another session. Same producer took my drum beats from another session, just dropped them in, so I was imitating me, and then I did my own fills. But the thing that's tricky is that I have to try to make it sound like it was live, that I was there, everybody was there with me. It's not just playing in time. If you play perfectly with the click, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sound good. Sometimes you have to move around the click because you have to be with the guitar, the bass, all the guitars, the bass, the vocals. You know, you have to place the drums in a certain place where it sounds right. just being with the click, and I'll show that in another song, how, oh, I'm not playing that song, but sometimes I've played with a click and it doesn't sound right because the guitars were rushing. And that's fine if the guitars are rushing. But if you play with the click and the guitars are on top of the beat, you're going to sound laid back. You see what I'm saying? Because in perspective, you're behind the guitars. And if the guitars are the main part, you've got to jump, you got to, what I did in that particular case, it was a Michelle Branch record. I brought the click way down, got rid of the loops, forget the loops, they're in the background anyway, and played with the guitars. Pushed ahead of the click, played with the guitars, so that when you listen to it in playback, it sounds like me and the guitar players were recording together. But before that, it sounded like I was laid back, and it wasn't that kind of song. And it ended up being her first single. That's just some information. You probably know a lot of it, but you're hearing it from me now. All right, this song's called 8 Easy Steps, and when I listened to this song, I realized, you know, this song is not about complexity, it's about energy, it's about vibe. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's get it.
How to stay paralyzed by fear of abandonment. How to defer to men insolvable predicaments. How to control someone to be a carbon copy of you. How to have that not work and have them run away from you. How to keep people at arm's length and never get too close. How to mistrust the ones you supposedly love the most. How to pretend you're fine and don't need help from anyone. How to feel worthless unless you're serving. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. Course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to do in 8 easy steps. I'll show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. Gotta hate me when you're supposed to be a feminist. How to play all biased when you're really a hypocrite. How to hate God when you're a player and a spiritist. How to sabotage your fantasies by fear of success. In 8 easy steps, a course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. I'll show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. I've been doing research for years. I've been practicing my ass off. I've been treating my whole life for this moment. I swear to you, culminating just to be this flawless leader before you. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. The course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. I'll show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. How to lie to yourself and thereby to everyone else. How to keep smiling when you're thinking of killing yourself. How to numb alcoholic to avoid going within. How to stay stuck in blue by blaming your friends. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. The course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. I'll show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. The course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. I'll show you how leadership looks when taught by the best.
There's a trio I play with in town called Philip Sage and Peace Machine. And this song is completely different from, you know what? I'm not playing that song. I changed my mind. I got my song list order. That's the next song. This next song is a Tony Iommi song with, this is the guitar player from Black Sabbath. And this is, without getting into too much explanation, the thing that's cool about this is it was live. The singer is Glenn Hughes, who used to sing with Deep Purple. Amazing singer. This is like the real deal. You'll see. Most of all these songs were written from the guitar. And I never even heard the vocals until the record came out. But because this is so guitar driven, I could figure out my drum parts based on what the guitar was doing. The guitar lines were almost like vocal lines, so it made it very easy for me to figure out what to do. The thing is, we played live, which, like I said, I like. Yeah, this is really focused on where you place the snare drum. You'll see I place the snare drum definitely not on top of the beat, center or back, in between the guitar line. Listen to the guitar and the bass. Most of the guitar, the bass doubles it a little bit, but I really listen to what the guitar is doing, especially because there was no vocals, to feel where I place the snare, everything really. But the hi-hat and kick drum were right in the middle, and the snare drum's just a little bit laid back. It's called Wasted Again. Again? I don't know what you're talking about. This is like one of those slow medium tempos where this is where you can really speed up, especially when I do the fills. You gotta stay in that pocket, whatever that groove is. It's almost like every song I play, I'm like an actor in a movie. I gotta get into character what that song is. And then once I get into character, then everything I do stems from that character. see me, I'm reading charts because all these songs, well, most of the songs have the drums still on them. It's the only way I can play these things for you, because almost every artist I know will never give me the master tracks to remix the songs, take the drums out, and I never know what, you know, I never know what's going to be what when I'm recording. And even if I ask, I think on the Tony Iommi stuff, I asked while we were recording when they were mixing, please, you know, could you give me a couple tracks without drums? And they went, no. So what I do is I write out every note. That's where your education helps. I write out every single note, you know, to what I'm playing and try to read it, just so you get the idea of what's going on. Okay, this is this band I was telling you about called Phillips Station Peace Machine. We're actually playing tonight way out of town at Monrovia, just past Pasadena, in a place called the Brass Elephant. Kind of a crazy, it's like something like a scene out of Star Trek, you know, that bar where everyone's looking goofy. That's what this place looks like sometimes, like, whoa, who are these people? But it's cool. This is a trio, and we recorded this record live. This is like completely opposite of me overdubbing. This is live. I mean, the amps were right on the same room with the drums. So if you made a mistake, too bad, man. There's no fixing. Nothing is fixed on this record from the drums. So one song is 14 minutes long. It was a jam based on a song, but it was a jam, and you know, that was it. One take. That's all. It's all you couldn't fix it because the guitar and the bass were going into my microphones. So one way you could ever punch the drums in is if everybody was playing exactly the same parts, same dynamic, same everything. So it's not possible. So that's what's exciting about this. This is live. No rehearsals. Never heard the songs until I got to the studio. This is the day after the Grammys where I played with Melissa Etheridge and Josh Stone. As a matter of fact, during the Grammys, I was, you know, in between saying hi to U2 and, you know, all my friends from Leonard Skinner and, you know, Aerosmith and, you know, Velvet Revolver, all these people. I'm running in the dressing room writing charts out. You know, because, see, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm doing a demo, a jingle, or playing with the Rolling Stones. It's all the same. I have to be amazing. I have to be, at the worst my day has to be is A-. Otherwise, people are going to say I suck, and I won't stand for that. So even on your best day, people may not dig what you're doing, but you got to try to make it always your worst day is A-. So what if you have A+? You don't want any C-. So whether it's a demo or a good song or a bad song, I have the same attitude. Doesn't matter if it's the Stones or if it's somebody you'll never hear, it's never been signed. It's the same thing. I'm playing the drums, and I have a tremendous amount of integrity the way I play. It's like there's no attitude, there's no rock star attitude, and if anybody could have it, it could be me. I have over 100 gold platinum records in my house. That's not to mention the other 100 I didn't get. I've been on like 60 Grammy-nominated songs, and I've been probably 120. So what? The thing is that when you're playing, whether it's a clinic here or demo, never have that rock star attitude, or it's going to bite you in the ass. It's the truth. You know, you got to be humble. Now, there are times that people are treating you like crap because, you know, for whatever reason, you got to pick your battles. But the bottom line is, all I have to do, it's like my kid says to me, man, I don't, because he's playing drums now. He says, it's so uptight, you know. I get so nervous because everyone's going to think I got to be great and everything because, you know, I'm the son of. I said, Nick, you ought to see what it's like trying to be me. Because when I walk into a room, I have to be better than I mean, everyone, who knows what people think? They might think I'm like John Bonham. I don't know. I have to try to be amazing because they think I'm amazing. I said, I can't have a bad day. So you can at least say, well, I'm just the son of. I am the dude. Okay, this is straight ahead stuff. You'll see this if you go to my website. You'll see. Well, I'm about to go on tour in late June and July. No, wait, late June, all of July and part of August with John Fogerty. So I won't be playing with this band, but the guitar player Philip, he's going out with Melissa Etheridge. We all met on Melissa Etheridge's last tour. But you'll see if you go to my website, you'll start seeing we play around town. Actually, we're playing June 6th at Molly Malone's. Yeah, we'll play like June 6th at Molly Malone's in town, somewhere close by here. This band's fun. Somebody saw it last night. Was it last night? No, 2 nights ago. It's cool. Anyway, you'll see. It's raw energy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this, I'm gonna go back to Tony Iommi again. This song, the reason I picked this song is kind of cool because this was written from the drums. Now there's some bands like Mudvayne, Mars Volta, they write a lot from the drums. What happened in this situation was, I went to England to rehearse with Tony Iommi and Glenn Hughes, and they said, you know, if you have any ideas, you know, just tell us. So I was listening to the record, what was already written, and I noticed that a lot of the songs were all medium tempo and slow, kind of like Black Sabbath-y. I thought, well, you know, they should have something a little up-tempo. So what I did, I went back to my room at night, and I started kind of composing what I thought were songs from the drums. Like, I think of like, well, you know, they need something up-tempo like this. So I like wrote down all these little scenarios. Like I'd have an intro beat that would then a verse beat, maybe a pre-chorus beat, or at least a chorus beat. You know, if you have intro, verse, chorus, maybe a bridge or a solo thing, if it came to my head. And I kind of constructed and made up my own little melodies. And I brought in some of these little, what I call little songs from the drums. You know, having made so many records, I kind of understand song form, you know. And so the beat I picked for this song was kind of like a Foo Fighters, Queen of Stone Age thing, John Bonham, Zeppelin-y kind of thing. It was basically this. Playing like eighth notes with the kick drum, which is a whole different technique than I'll show you in a sec. But here, this is what it was. When I go to the eighth notes, it was the verse. Originally I started on the tom, but I got rid of that in the edits. But the intro was on the hi-hat, quarter notes open, and then the eighth notes was the verse. And you know, you have to make that transition immediate, you know, very clean and concise without changing your foot dynamics, or as if it was programmed. Very clean. Then the chorus beat I came up was a complete different direction. Since this is so fast, I kept thinking, well, if I was listening to this thing, I'd get a little bit, you could get boring after a while if it's just the same thing over and over again. It puts a lot of pressure on everybody else. So I thought, you know what? I got to give some sort of release to this so that if you keep coming back to it, it's exciting. So the chorus beat I came up with was slower. It was halftime. As a matter of fact, we recorded it. It was less than halftime to purposely make it seem really heavy. You know what I mean? If you play perfectly in halftime, you still can kind of feel the original pulse. So this was like get under halftime, and then it really feels heavy. So it was more like an audio slave, slow version of an audio slave beat that I was thinking of. That sort of thing. Now, this brings up a technical thing, and I don't want to get too technical because you guys get tons of technique in school. When I play quarter notes and eighth notes on the bass drum, which I spent most of my life doing, playing rock and roll, I put my weight forward and I used the ball on my foot and put the beater into the head. As a matter of fact, I think for years, the beater going in the head kept me from falling over the drum set. That's how hard I played. But when you're playing this type of style, like the intro, it's a whole different technique. You sit back. I have to get the beater off. My first version of this was like da 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 da, because I'm so used to putting the beater in the head that the last note, the beater always would go in the head. But that's where you'd get that uneven sound, da 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 da. So I had to learn how to play with the beater off the head, da 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 da. Completely different technique, and I kind of do like almost like a molar technique with my foot. You know, high and come down. It's subtle, but it's kind of that way. That keeps me fluid and going, so I don't tire out. If you just go with your leg, you can tire out. Anyway, it's a transition between techniques that makes this song work. And now here's the trip. It made me start thinking, you know, professional athletes, let's say a tennis player, their whole thing is, what makes a great athlete or great anybody who's doing anything with their body is being not just technique, like one technique and then another technique. Like if, for example, there's the serve. Guy could spend his whole life trying to get a 135-mile-an-hour serve. Well, what about the backhand? At the net, mid-court, behind the baseline. What about the forehand? What about the spins? What about the this? What about the that? The greatest athletes are the ones that are fluid between the different techniques. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like in the drum world, in a real basic form, it's going from a beat to a fill, back to another beat. That right there is a demonstration of being fluid between different techniques or different styles. The more fluid you are between those things, the better drummer you are. It's the fluidity between techniques that makes somebody excellent. Guys like Vinny Caliuta, a perfect example. Vinny's like seamless between, he could go from like a high-powered Latin thing, do an amazing fill, and slide into some halftime swing thing, and it never felt like anything, it always seems perfect, right? Vinny's Vinny. Or any great drummer for that matter. It's the fluidity, and that's when I listen to somebody play, I check that out right away, kind of like, first I see what they're doing, and then I want to see if, if they can make the transitions. And it's being fluid from one thing to the next. And that is definitely what this song reminded me a lot about that, because the bass drum technique is so radically different. Anyway, that's just a little technique thing from me today. This song is called What Are You Living For? And the album that I'm talking about, which was where the other song was from, Wasted Again, the album's called Fused. All these albums are on my website, so you can check it out. This is a crazy business we're in. If you go to law school, most likely you become a lawyer, you'll get a gig. You know, someone's going to hire you. Become a doctor, you're going to get a gig because, you know, we need a lot of doctors. There's certain jobs that you go and get trained for, and it's pretty guaranteed. Music, there's no guarantee at all. But why do we put up with it? Why do we do it? Especially when the music business is shrinking, and or not shrinking, but it's not the money it used to be because the record companies have downsized, the budgets are small, home studios, downloading, price of CDs, on and on. It's a change. It's all changed. And the reason why we do it is because this makes you feel good. And boy, if you can just come close to even making enough money to survive, you're going to do it because it feels good. It makes you feel good. We're damn lucky. We're lucky because we have something in life that makes us feel good. A lot of people work and make a lot of money, and the trade-off is they don't like their jobs, you know. Now, that sounds like, yeah, right, I've heard that before. Mom said that. But the thing is, over a long period of time, that can really, really be hard on you. And, you know, you end up doing everything you can to make yourself happy with the money you make. But the thing is, back to us, we'll put up with less because we have music. There is no... there is no like a thing I can say that says, all right, here's what you got to do. You do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and you'll end up where I am. Man, first of all, I'm fortunate. Had a couple of lucky breaks, but the rest is I'm fortunate. Because, you know, you can have a lucky break and blow it so fast. You know, the lucky break was when I was with John Mellencamp, 17 years, you know, a bunch of #1 hit singles. 17 years with one band in this day and age is a miracle. That was big. We used to sell out the Forum. 2 nights in a row, no opening act. 3-hour show. I mean, we were huge at one point. And the thing is, the lucky break was I was practicing, playing in all the bands like you are, okay? Now this might tie in with a lot of you guys. What happened was I got a reputation as being like a really good drummer in that little circle. So when John fired, and John wasn't huge yet at all, but when John fired his drummer, and the lucky break was I'm sitting in a restaurant in Bloomington, Indiana, about to come out here to audition for some band that a friend of mine was in, which I didn't get. I was sitting in the restaurant, and I was about to leave, and I thought, man, maybe I'll hang a little bit longer just to chill my digestion down. I bump into a girl as I'm walking out that told me that John had just fired his drummer. That was a lucky break. The next thing was, the lucky break was they let me audition. John says, who's this Kenny Aronoff? And they start saying, and then he starts asking, find out that I'm like one of the best drummers, if not the best, in this town of Bloomington, Indiana. That's the destiny. That's what you can take care of. You can make yourself the best drummer in your circle. The only thing I will take credit for, and I'm not trying to divert too much, the only thing I'll take credit for in my life at this point, big thing, is hard work. Because I can make myself do that. I can't take credit for my genetics, my talent, my looks, my everything. I can take credit for making myself look better by working out and eating right. It's what you can make yourself do you can take credit for. Anything else, that's egotistical. So you can make yourself by working hard, playing in lots of bands, jobbing around, having a good attitude, staying on top of your game. The rest will become a lucky break or your good fortune. That's all you can do. I tell people, I said, what should I do? Should I go to LA? I says, yeah, go to LA, give yourself 5 years. Easy. Nashville, the same thing. Because as soon as you walk in here, I hate to say it, but you're competing with guys like me. You know, we're here. You know? But don't let that discourage you. The good news is, you know, because they're always, you know, every generation looking for new guys. Some people don't want to, you know, have Kenny. Doesn't matter how good I play. They just don't want to have me on the record because they just want something different. They're sick of hearing me, you know, and he can't win. You know, when you finally make it, nah, we don't want him. You got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? I'll save you money by doing a great job fast. Nah, you know. But so be careful. You get real good, you're going to get fired. Well, not fired, but suddenly it's like, he's so good, we don't want him anymore. But the thing is, the best thing you can do is keep playing in all those bands. Keep playing, keep playing. The lucky break is if the band gets recognized, gets seen, how visible it is. Hey, I'm in this power trio, right? You know, you know, there's interest. People want to send us right now. People want to send us to Japan, maybe Europe, maybe to Russia. You never know. The band may just end up being a cool band from LA that never makes it really big. And, you know, that's, you know, there's no guarantees. Just because I'm in it and the guitar player who's a monster's in it. But you keep doing it. I mean, dude, you know, when I play in these clubs with this band, I'm doing what you're doing. I'm loading the gear in the truck, setting it up. I mean, I could pay a tech to do it. I could pay tech. He'd get all my money, though, because that's how much money I make. I'm doing that gig for the love of music. I still am, you know, in high school. My heart, my desire for music, and I can't take credit for that either. That's just the way I am. I still love to play, and this music that with the Philip Sage and Peace Machine is such a, it's live, it's real. It's not like some of these other things I'm doing, and so I'm willing to. I'll set my drums up. I don't care. Get home at 4 in the morning, you know, just like anybody else. You know, I don't do the rock star thing. I mean, I could get a tech. I just, you know, I don't know. It just seems like, why not? You know, it's part of being in the band. But the thing is, can't give you a clean answer like, oh yeah, here's what you do, because we're all trying to do the same thing, or you guys are all trying to do the same thing. That's to make it. You know, the weird thing is, once you do make it in a famous band, there's no guarantees you're there forever. As soon as I was on my first #1 hit single, Jack and Diane, big drum solo and everything, #1, and I'm telling you, #1 back in the 80s meant #1 big time, because there was only a couple of charts. So when you were #1, man, you had sold millions of records and everybody knew who you were. And you know, we're on the cover of Rolling Stone, MTV, blah, blah, blah. I got nervous. I'm like, oh my God, how this could end, you know, next year. Now, like, how can I keep my career going? So you never stop practicing and always trying to play. And so anyway, there's no guarantees. You have to sustain yourself by loving what you do, and you hopefully get a lucky break and hopefully have fortune, you know, being fortunate. Because everything isn't luck. If you work hard, it's not just luck. It's you made yourself good. So and you get a break. That's, you know, there's good fortune in that. It's not just luck. You know, going into places like Nashville, especially Nashville, where the recording scene, like the A-Team, you know, guys, which I fortunately get to play with, that circle is so deep to break into. I mean, it's so, it's not an insult, but it's the facts. It's so conservative. They do not, on those main country records, they do not work out of the box. Working out of the box, they work right in the box. In other words, same fills, same beats, same sound. They even have the mixing board set up so that the inputs are the same for every session. You walk into the studio, 2 kick drum mics, 2 snare mics, toms. They don't change. It's not like you hear when I go into a session, they restrike the board. Nope, down there it's all set. You just plug into their system. And you're learning, they play a song twice and somebody makes a number chart. Then you hear it. Then you play it twice, then you go out and you record it. 2 takes, you should be done. We're talking master series. You got to read these number charts, you know, but the reason why, and they're brilliant musicians, the reason why they're so good at it is because they don't go out of the box. That's the system, and they've been doing it that way for a long time. Going out of the box is hiring me, just because of the way I sound. That's stretching out. Having me on a session in Nashville is getting outside. Wow. It's not the fills. It's, although sometimes, you know, I'll do records that are where they want Kenny Aronoff fills. But it's my feel is out of the box. You see what I'm saying? It's a much more conservative thing. Trying to break into that scene, whew, it's almost impossible. You got to wait for someone to kick the bucket or something. It's pretty wild. Oh, do I ever lose jobs because of drumming? Oh, I lose jobs, or I don't get jobs because of programming, people fixing tracks. I did a session in Woodstock recently, and I was listening to this track, and the drums sounded really good. Wow, who's playing drums? They started laughing. I'm like, what? They said, look at the computer screen. There was 50, 80 edits in Pro Tools to make that drummer sound good. Just chopped up, just. Like I said to everybody, I said, that's ridiculous. I said, it sounds much better if you get a guy who can play from beginning to end. Much better. It's just, I mean, a few edits here and there, like move a fill in, move a this, but the flow of a whole performance, I shouldn't say much better. I think it sounds better because it sounds more, you know, human, and you can feel the emotion. This thing sounded like what it was that the guy who wrote the songs programmed all the drum beats, so he was very into every little program. You get sometimes caught up in that to the point where you sacrifice feel and real feel, which I think is a lot is missing in music today. So the guy says, hey, this is at 1:30 in the morning, by the way. He says, hey, you're on, go for it. I went, dude, you know, because I knew the guy programmed. I said, are you sure about that? It's going to take a while. He says, no, go for it. So I sat there and went, I know that this guy is in love with his drum program, okay? All right? So I said, all right, but it's going to take me 45 minutes to write a chart out. And I said, do your own thing. I'm like, no. I know how this works. They say do your own thing, but they don't want you to do your own thing. So you know what I do in these situations? I write out every single note that's been played or programmed. Every crash, every fill, everything. You know why? Because when I start recording, they're going to sit there and go, hey, you know, I like that. Could you do that, what was on tape? That's what they always go back to, most of the time. So I say, I'm going to write it out now so I have it. And my rule of thumb of recording is this. I will not play a note until I have a chart that I can play from beginning to end. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time and everyone else's time. I'm going to be sitting there trying to learn and tire me out, tire the producer out, the brain, they get frustrated. Oh, man, the guy doesn't even know the form of the song. I won't record until I can play from beginning to end, the whole song. I won't record until I practice the beats and the grooves a little bit. I don't care how simple they are. Because the first time you play, it's going to sound better the third time. So just practice and get the first and second time out of the way. Then when you say record, you're sounding like at A-. You're sounding great immediately. Okay? Third thing is get your headphone mix right. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. All right, so step one, I write the chart out. So I write out the chart, and I go out there, and sure enough, you know, I'm playing the chart the way it's written, but then I start stretching out, doing my own fills. And they like it, and they're going crazy about it. And the guy comes up to me, the artist says, oh, I had no idea. And that's the producer says, that's what I was trying to tell you about. That's why I wanted him to play on the whole album. And the guy's going, man, I am so sorry. So now it's 4:30 in the morning. Now I'm going to do another song. You know, and I can't say no because I'm like, yeah, more and more. You know, because I just love to play. So I did 2-3 more songs, right? Amazing. Sounds great. It sounded better. Guess what? I called the engineer and said, dude, how's the record going? Did you mix it? Yeah, we mixed it. Sorry, you're not on the record. The guy freaked out and wanted all his fills back in. He decided to use the other guy's tracks. The guy was in love with his programming. He loved his, like, and I'm telling you, the fills that he picked there were too many. If I was the producer, I'd be going like, that was the most stupid place to put a drum fill. It was almost like a drummer noodling. You know what I mean? And I'm a drummer saying that. It was wrong. What are you doing a fill in the middle of that section for? It was just, he just wanted to put something in it. It was stupid. It was like noodling. You know, just, it was crazy. But see, he's the artist. So yeah, and there are times I'm on records where I get paid and I never was there. They take my drum parts from one record, like if it's the same producer, they'll take my drum parts and they'll just use it on another record. Or I'll do a song and I'll go and listen to the drum parts and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, where'd that come from? Oh yeah, we did a demo for this guy and never used it, and he wrote a song with my drum beats. That's kind of like, I don't know what to do about that, but that's kind of what's happening. As soon as you record into a computer, they've got you, and they can take that stuff, chop it up, use it. It's the way it is. You know what? I want to play this, you know that Power Trio, Philip Sage? This is such good music. I'll just go to that. This is that Power Trio I play with Philip Sage and Peace Machine. This is a song that, I mean, it's just live. It's live, it's good. It's picking the right beat and playing the right fills and basically those 4 things: beat, time, groove, and being creative at the right time. And you'll see at the end of the song how I really, really focus on beat, time, and groove, and how powerful it is, and how you don't have to do a million fills. You'll check it out. It's at the end of the song. You'll see I'm just... Cool. All right, here's a song I recorded with Melissa Etheridge. This is in 12/8. This was a song that I mean, she was there, but she had already sung the vocals. I really believe that the singing, matching the singer with the drummer, is so important because, you know, the feel. You got the singer is the most identifiable or thing that people like identify with, you know, because it's human voice. And it also, you know, the passion level of a voice really can touch people. But the next thing I think is the drummer, because the nature of the instrument. And you've got to kind of like go where the singer goes. Obviously, when the singer gets soft, you can't get loud. You know, it's stuff like that. But the thing I try to do is get inside with the, you know, just get emotionally attached to what's going on with the vocals. The more I play the drums, the more I split my brain in 3 places all the time. It's like just going around like a little rat going. It's the song, the click track, and everything I'm doing. Okay? So my brain's like, click, playing with the other musicians. What are the other musicians doing? What's going on? How do I fit in? How am I playing? Back to the click, am I with the click? The other musicians, what the musicians doing? Am I playing with them? How am I sound? Back to me. I go round and around. It's not just about me. Trust me. I get more, I do better by playing, thinking, listening to everybody else. And that's kind of how I do it. And I try to play as if I'm in the audience, listening to me play. Like, boy, that drummer's rushing. Oh, that's me. I better chill. So, this song is in 12/8, and so, you know, we don't play in 6 or 3 or 12 as much as we do in 4/4. We play more, you know, rock and roll, you know, the subdivision, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, subdivision of 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 8 notes, or 16th notes, which is subdivision 4. But this is, you know. And so when you suddenly you're on a session, you get something like that. It's like if you're not used to it. I remember when I went out there. Remember, I make the chart. And by the way, this was my drum tracks from a Goo Goo Dolls or Johnny Resnick song that was going to be on a movie. They didn't use it, so they made a record using this stuff. I was like, "Who's that drummer? He's good." No. I was listening. I was like, oh, I couldn't hear what was going on. I remember. I went, "Man, that sounds like my fills." And they said, "Oh yeah, we used this to write the song." Okay. So so I went out and practiced. I remember they were saying, come on, let's go. This was one of 9 songs I recorded in a day. This was a crazy day. I was in Philadelphia on tour with Michelle Branch. Took a 7:30 flight, landed at LAX at 10:30. One of my students, Ryan Brown, picked me up, brought me to the studio, dropped me off 11:15 or to 12. I was getting sounds. 12 o'clock to 8:15. I recorded 9 songs. This was one of them. 4 Alanis Morissette songs, 2 Anastasia songs, Keith Urban song, Gwen Stefani song. Got back on the plane, flew back to New York, did a 7:30 TV show, The View, with Michelle Branch, and a concert that night in New York. Got on a bus and drove to Pennsylvania. It was crazy. It's cool though, right? Isn't that exciting? I'm bragging. That's great, man. How fun is that? But the only way I could do that many songs, that's when I realized, oh man, is the recording industry changing? 9 songs, 1 producer, 1 room, 1 drummer, no musicians, just me. This is crazy, man. This is like factory stuff. And I try to make every song sound like, oh, this has got to, you know, I got to make this sound great, you know, this has got to be amazing. I mean, I don't just sit there and go, next. You know, it's like heart surgery, man. You're trying to save a life here. At least that's the way I look at it. And but the only thing I can say is that I did get 7 of the 9 songs ahead of time so I could make the charts out. That took 5 hours. So if I was there for 8 hours, that saved me 5 hours. So I was really getting paid for 13 hours if you think about it. Yeah, oh, that's good. He asked if I used the same size sticks. Yeah, I used to. This is my signature stick is a 5B, like a Vic Firth 5B Extreme, which is like a long 5B, but I beefed up the end. I made it more like a rock stick, but it's the same thickness, same length of a 5B. Typically 5A and 5Bs are taper at the end. I need more power, and the stick is really balanced. You can tell. You want to catch it? See how, like if you wave it. See how it's kind of like all even? Or at least it is to me. You're going to like, he's nuts. It's kind of like, you know, just one, wow. It's not like light at the end. And so I used to have a thicker stick when I was with the Smashing Pumpkins. I switched to this. And I was using in the studio, I carry 5 A's, 5 B's, even 7 A's in the studio. Now I'm going to New York to make this record with it's a new artist, but it's a bass player from Lenny Kravitz and a guitar player from Paul McCartney. And we start on Monday. I packed some 5 A's and regular 5 B's because just in case, what if it's one of those songs they want you to play soft? But these sticks, the reason why I went to a smaller stick was to play faster, but I can use this for anything. I mean, I can use this for anything. The heavier ones were a little bit trickier, but you know what? It's like, but I was talking like, what's his name? Thomas Lang. He uses big sticks, huge, bigger, way bigger than this. He uses like marching drumsticks. They look huge. It's because he lets the stick do the work. I totally get it. I totally get it. I don't grip the stick very hard. If anything, I'll go back here. But up here, it's loose, man. I'm just guiding the stick. I use a lot of, my power comes from where my belly button is, my core. And it's very martial arts like. I use my whole body to play. That's where I get my power. It's like, think about it. When a golfer swings, man, he swings his whole body all the way through, right? But the thing that hits the ball is the club, but the club isn't doing all the work. Otherwise, he'd just stand there and go, bam. It's his body. The entire body swings through with all the force from the one toe to the tip of his head, and the last thing to come through, if you think about it, he's already spun around, is the club. Same with tennis. By the time the whole body, entire body, is making the swing, the last thing to hit is the racket. The hand is just holding it. And so you see what I'm saying? It's like baseball pitcher. He throws his whole body over. Last thing is letting go of the ball is his hand. But it's his body that's throwing the ball. So when I play with my body. So the stick, you know, Thomas, we were talking about, he like he's very technical, obviously. And he's got these big sticks. He just lets the stick do work. He guides it. And it isn't, the stick can do a lot of the work. Okay, well, let me play this song, This Moment. Yeah. Once again, the passion of Melissa Etheridge's voice really made me play. You'll see me dynamically. Watch what I do dynamically. A lot had to do with her voice.
I am watching you sleep. It's the promise you made. What I find I can keep. Oh, I want to swallow the moon
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.